And we are live, people. Welcome back to the channel Chosen Wisdom Football, a channel for the critical thinkers, for the deep thinkers, for the football fans, or simply the Manchester United fans who like to have deep conversations, who like to think about things. As usual, guys, we often say what we see, not just how we feel. I hope everybody's having an amazing day, a beautiful day. It is Monday, guys, the start of the week, and as usual, this is your Monday evening Manchester United news show. This is your weekend fallout show, where as usual we go through all of the latest Manchester United news and headlines, topics and talking points that have occurred over the weekend and today, and we discuss them and we go through them together as a community. So big up everybody who is here, big up everybody who is going to jump in late. Make sure you smash the like on entry. It's a new channel. Subscribe if you are new. Share the video with your friends if you like this type of content, laid back, talkative, conversational, deep, intellectual type of Manchester United talk, then this might be the place for you. So big up everybody in the chat. Big up Teklish, big up Alfred. Gideon, what's up, my guy? I just woke up from a coma. What's happening here? Are we challenging for the title? Big up the chat, already making me laugh. Big up Alfred. Alfred, I suggest you go back to sleep, bro. I suggest you go back to sleep and pretend you never woke up. Maybe you go back to sleep and you can wake up again in another 2 years' time, and I don't know, I might have something better to tell you, my friend, because right now, this is not the best time for you to wake up from your hibernation. Yeah, from your coma. So big up everybody, big up Alfred. As you can see, the headline of today's show, the title of the thumbnail is Ollie aims too high. Has Ole Gunnar Solskjaer aimed a bit too high? And is that the reason, guys, why Michael Carrick is now the front runner for the managerial job at Manchester United? Wow, I got it out in the end. Yes, guys, it seems as if Michael Carrick is the front runner, and if all the journalists and all the news coming out of Manchester United is to be correct, then the announcement of Michael Carrick as the full-time interim manager will be made by the end of tomorrow. So by Wednesday morning, we should know who is going to take over from Ruben Amorim or from Fletcher, if you look at it that way, until the remaining of the season. And as the thumbnail suggests, Ollie aims too high. The question therefore is, and we're going to get into it, of course, did Ollie punch a bit too much above his weight? Is he aiming a bit too high with his demands, with how he wants United to play, with where he sees United ending up? Are the United hierarchy right to reject Ollie and go for Carrick? That's all opinions, guys, and I want to hear from you guys as usual. Let me know, comment below. But this new show, we are going to go through these topics, guys. So we have Fletcher, Darren Fletcher, who is officially out of the race. So we're going to talk about Fletcher's 2 games. We're going to talk about what he could have done, what he should have done, and the fact that he is now out of the race. He will not be considered. So Fletcher's out of the race. We're going to go through that together. Carrick, as I've said before in the lead up, is expected to become interim. So we're going to go through all those quotes. Carrick has also impressed Barada and Wilcox. The talk of the town, the noise coming out of Manchester United is that Carrick has impressed a lot. And also, the players respect him. The players like him. So that is the talk. That's the feelings that are coming out of the club. There's also conversations about Carrick being appointed Once again, guys, you comment below. And before we get into the nitty gritty, do you, the chat, the community, think Carrick was appointed because he's more likely to toe the line than someone like Ruben Amrim, or maybe even someone like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? So that's the talk of the town. That's what people are saying. Let me know if you agree with that sentiment. There's also conversations that Carrick will be given money. So I doubted, and I still doubt, that we'll make any reasonable or meaningful signing in January. But there's also journalists that have come out saying, yes, Michael Carrick indeed will be given some money to spend for signings. And we are going to target long-term signings. And I feel like that's what we have been talking about for the past 6 months. INEOS are not buying short-term or not making short-term signings anymore. Long are the days, guys, where we'll sign someone like Casemiro, who is 29, and sign him on a 5-year deal. I don't think INEOS or the club in general will do things like that again. So every signing that we've made, all the summer signings that we've made, the Sescos or Cunhas, are all either for now or at least long term. There's also talk, guys, that Darren Fletcher actually, even though he's not been selected, even though we're going to go with Michael Carrick, so it seems, there is talk that Darren Fletcher might stay on and help Michael Carrick, work under Michael Carrick, if, of course, Carrick wishes that to be the case. So that is something that we're going to talk about, guys. We're also going to go through Nice supporters. Apparently, and it's something I've spoken about on this channel before, as you know, Nice are a club that are owned by INEOS. And they are going through a lot of turmoil right now with INEOS. And the president of Nice Supporters Club has come out and he's spoken about the way INEOS have managed Nice, the way they've operated with Nice, the project, how it's failed. So we're going to have a look at and see what Nice supporters think of INEOS. Because, guys, as I said in my other streams, if the sacking of Amrim did one thing, it highlighted the incompetence of INEOS. That's what it did more than anything. A lot of us who thought Amrim was already incompetent now believe INEOS is also incompetent. So we're going to talk about INEOS. We're going to talk about Wilcox's vision, because Wilcox has now come out and spoken about his vision. And I feel like the more pressure that is piled on in INEOS, the more that we're going to have to hear from the likes of Wilcox, the more we're going to have to hear from the club and try to understand what they're doing to remediate this current situation, which is very, very volatile. So a lot for us to get into, guys. I've spoken a lot, I've mentioned a lot. So this chat, this session, guys, is going to be very deep and very thorough. Also, at the end of the season, people, Manchester United will do a review. Apparently, Manchester United will do a review of their internal structure, which means they're going to look at Wilcox, they're going to look at Omar Barada, they're going to look at who does what, why, where, how, which I think most organizations do this anyway. So that's nothing new at all. So before we get into it, guys, like I said, that was a long intro, but we are going to cover all of those topics today. Big up the chat, big up Alfred Gideon as well. The Zidane's of Fred is close to joining Aston Villa. Big up Glenios. Tottenham are bidding for him too, Alfred. Zidane's of Fred, what does that mean? Oh, Conor Gallagher. Oh, The that's funny because I think Fred's better than Conor Gallagher. So that's funny if he's. Listen, I'm not gonna lie. I think Manchester United. Speaking about Conor Gallagher, guys, just off topic a little bit. I think the way that we are seeing our midfield now, the way that our midfield is getting exposed more and more, and I've always said that we need midfielders. We know we need midfielders. We chose to focus on our attack in the summer rather than try to spread it out, which is fine. INEOS and the manager agreed with that, but the longer the season goes on, and especially the last two games, not the previous games. The previous games, I didn't really see the failures of Casemiro as evidently, as clearly as I see them over the last two games. Over the last two games, I've seen Ugarte and Casemiro, and they haven't done well. I've also seen Bruno play in that double pivot for the last year, and he hasn't been great. So I don't want Conor Gallagher on a permanent deal. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, do you know what? If we could get Conor Gallagher on loan for the end to the end of the season, why not? Why not? I'm no longer sticking my nose up at players like Conor Gallagher anymore because I think Conor Gallagher is better than Ugarte. I think he is. So it is what it is. Anyway, guys, let's stick on topic. Let's understand. Let's talk about Manchester United's future and the managerial race. So, as I mentioned in at the start, guys, Darren Fletcher is out of the race. And before we get into it, for my opinion, and you guys, as usual, give me your opinion. Did you want Darren Fletcher to stay? Have you seen anything over the two games he's taken over? And it's only been two games, so there's not a lot you can point at. He hasn't had a lot of time to do much anyway. So you can argue it's a bit unfair to assess him over the two games. But did anybody at all in the chat really want Darren Fletcher to stay? I didn't. I understood that he was there for a small period of time. He understood that he was there for a small period of time, and that period of time has come to an end. I'm not happy that he didn't win any games because of course I wanted him to win, but at the same time I'm happy that there isn't a push, there isn't a uproar, there isn't anybody resisting this. There isn't large amounts of Manchester United fans, in my opinion, pushing for Fletcher to remain as manager. I don't see it, I don't hear it, which is a good thing also. So Darren Fletcher, let me know what you think about this, if you agree or not. I think most of us will probably agree, but the floor is yours, guys. Darren Fletcher is completely out of the race to become the United caretaker manager until the end of the season. Apparently, according to this and Fabrizio Romano, he had a chance to prove his skills, but the game against Brighton killed those hopes. My issue with all of this is, did he really have a chance to prove his skills? Because my question to you guys is, the club have been saying for a long time that he is only there until they get the permanent interim. That's what the club have been saying. So I don't know if he had a chance at all. I don't know. You can argue the fact that he had a chance in the first place shows that INEOS are not good. Because how can you give somebody an interim job for 1 or 2 games and still sit back and say, do you know what? If he does well in these 1 or 2 games, we're going to give him the full job. They're going to do the same mistake they did that the Glazers did with Oli. So the fact that they're saying that he had a chance, I think should, for me personally, guys, it rings alarm bells a little bit. It rings alarm bells. It means they don't know what they're doing. What do you mean he had a chance? He shouldn't have had a chance, because you have said he's only going to be there for 1 or 2 games until you get the permanent interim. So the fact that he had a chance shows that you were hoping that he was going to do something and not have to bring in an interim and then go back on your word. I don't know, guys. There's so many ways you can look at this sentence. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know what you think about Fletcher. But he has gone apparently, and the game against Brighton killed any hope, according to Manchester United and Fabrizio Romano, of him staying at the club. So all I'm going to say, guys, like I said, the floor is yours to comment and give me your opinions. But all I can say about Darren Fletcher is thank you for your service, not as a manager. Thank you for your service as a footballer. The 2 games you had us, I saw something. I did see something. We created chances to score, but we just couldn't get the game over the line. You tried to attack. You brought on attacking players in both games, unlike our previous manager, but you're not it. You're not it. So let's move on, guys. Let's move on and talk about Carrick now. Let's move on and pivot towards Carrick. So we've spoken about Fletcher. Breaking news, Sky Sports, Florian Plettenberg has said that Michael Carrick is expected to become the new interim head coach of Manchester United. The recent focus has been on face-to-face talks with Carrick. So they've now had face-to-face talks. They've hashed it out. No on the phone business. Look at me in the eye. Tell me what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, how you're going to achieve at this club. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has presented himself very well, according to Florian Plettenberg, but Carrick is currently ahead. A decision is expected soon. Carrick now with very good chances. So Florian Plettenberg, who is a respected journalist, has said this, and a few other journalists are now coming out making the assumption that Carrick is going to be the new interim. And based on that, guys, a lot of YouTubers, myself included, are now focused on Carrick. We've now seen all the news and we've now understood, accepted the fact that Carrick is going to be the new interim. Now, once again, guys, let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you think about Carrick being selected over Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I know, guys, a lot of us are not in a good mental space, especially with regards to this football club. A lot of us are angry, we're frustrated, we're annoyed, we're pissed off. I get it. This is why this channel exists, for us to come and talk about these things. But the club moves on. Onwards and upwards. I always say onwards and upwards. We can't dilly-dally. We got to get a new manager in and we got to try to win games. And Mbumo and Ahmad will be back for the weekend games. We will have a full strength team. So we got to try to be a bit optimistic. We have to try. Listen, give Carrick a try. We've seen what happens with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Personally, I don't think there's going to be, now tell me if I'm wrong, guys. If I'm wrong, let me know. Let me know if you disagree. I don't think there's going to be major differences between Carrick and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's approaches. Carrick was Ole's coach. When Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was a manager of Manchester United, Carrick and McKenna were the coaches, and we spoke about the style of play, we spoke about the football that we played, and while it was free-flowing to a certain extent, it was also quite unimpressive towards the end. We couldn't break down low blocks, and we became a very predictable style team. Carrick was part of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's coaching team. Of course, Carrick has gone on to manage Middlesbrough and do other things. He's gone on to prove himself. And because he's a midfielder himself, a very, what you call it? They call it cultured midfielder. Someone who sits around in a DM position and passes the ball around. That was Michael Carrick for Manchester United. So I am going to try to be very optimistic. I'm going to try to think that Carrick can get something out of these players. The issue is a lot of people who are Amrim out, who wanted Amrim to, let's say, leave, who didn't think Amrim was good enough. I didn't think we would replace Amrim with Carrick or Solskjaer. I didn't think we would do that. I think we would upgrade, and I don't know if Carrick, and once again, chat, let me know. I don't know if Carrick is an upgrade on Ten Hag. When I envisioned, sorry, not Ten Hag, Ruben Amorim. When I envisioned Ruben Amorim leaving, I envisioned him being replaced by someone who is clearly doing a good job in the Premier League or something. Not by Ollie or not by Carrick. And I think the difficult pill for people who liked Amorim is, because I'm not the greatest fan of Amorim, but for people who liked Amorim, I think the difficult pill to swallow is, it seems as if he got fired because he went against INEOS rather than they fired him because they didn't believe in him. And that is always going to be, for me, an issue. So big up the chat. Let me know what you think about Carrick coming in. What are your expectations of Michael Carrick? Because, guys, your expectations of him will then go on to dictate or how you feel. It will go on to dictate how you respond to the results. Are you expecting Carrick to come in now and make us finish in the top 6, top 5? Are you expecting Carrick to come in and take a couple weeks to implement his ideas? Are you expecting Carrick to come and implement any ideas, or are we expecting Carrick to come in and continue with what was already there? Because it's hard to change in the middle of the season. These guys have been bashed over the heads with a 3-4-2-1 system for a whole year, only to now in the middle of the season have another manager who's probably going to play another system. So how long do we give this guy to implement his system? Does he have time to implement something new? What happens if we don't finish in the top 6 this time around? All of these questions are very good questions that are coming out of my head that you guys could answer. You guys can answer. But the issue right now, guys, with the community and with the Man United fan base, one of the reasons why it's so toxic is because the unknown is unbearable. The unknown right now is unbearable. We've just fired a manager who's told us about suffering 2-3 years, and now we've changed course and we don't feel like we know what we are doing or where we are going. We don't feel in control. It just feels like these people who are in charge of this football club are just making decisions off the cuff without any deep thought of the repercussions, how they're going to affect whatever entity, the club, the players. And if I'm going to be cynical, and we're going to talk about it as well, guys, I think after firing Amorim, the only thing they can do as interim to calm all of you guys down, to stop you guys from getting angry and pointing your fingers at them, they need another buffer. So it makes sense also that they get someone like Carrick, someone like Ollie, one of the legends that we like, in very, very quickly, or this shit. All of these things that we're now doing, that we're now saying, posting online about INEOS, is going to get louder and louder. So big up the chat, big up Davidas. I'm trying to pronounce it properly. Davidas Varnatis. New name on the channel. I don't know if the Turkish wants to do something. Big up Shivam as well in the building. So guys, let me know. It is happening, guys. We're going to have Michael Carrick here for the rest of the season. So I want to know your thoughts on this. You've heard me talk now. You've heard me, think about this and think about that. Let's hear what you guys are. Are you happy that we got Carrick Wiz? You know me, guys. I'm not going to give you an easy answer. All in all, I'm going to say no. All in all, I'm going to say no. The question is difficult because if you ask me, out of the possible candidates, am I happy I got Carrick? Then I'll say, yeah, I'd rather Carrick over Ollie. But if you're asking me, am I happy just in general, full stop, that we got Carrick? No. I'd rather these guys, INEOS, rather than firing the manager off the cuff and not have anyone to replace him, I'd rather they didn't react on some impulse. I'd rather INEOS, yeah, if they were going to get rid of the manager, have a manager in place. I'd rather they would have fired him after the Tottenham game, yeah, the last game of the season, and then spent the summer finding someone new. Or if they wanted to fire him, they could have fired him after the Grimsby game. They could have fired him during any of the international breaks, but they didn't. They waited until he told them to do their jobs properly, live on TV, do your job properly, I'm the manager, and then they fired him with no one to replace him. That's why I'm annoyed. It wasn't thought out. It was reactionary. It seemed reactionary, Eddie. So overall, no. I don't want ex-legends back at this club. I don't want Carrick here. I don't want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer here. I don't want any buffer. Yes, I'm not somebody who believes that a manager can just say what they want and put the club in disrepute and just talk about his bosses the way that Amrim wanted to talk about it. You can't do that. So everyone who's like, oh, Amrim is exposing the owners, I'm like, that's all good, guys, but there's no walk of life here where you as an employee get to come out in public and slate your owners, the owners of your business. You don't do, and keep a job. That doesn't happen in any walk of life. So there's a conflict of interest there for me. I'm happy that Amrim can kind of spoke out, but at the same time, let's be honest, guys, nobody speaks out. If that was a player, i.e. Sancho or Kobe speaking out against the manager, you guys will get angry. But it's okay if the manager speaks up against his bosses. So there's a hypocrisy there. There is. All in all, that's the answer to the question, Eddie. I would prefer we stay away from the legends of the club, the feel-good things, and get someone in serious. But we will see. Eddie says, it doesn't matter about the manager. INEOS need to leave. I don't trust them to make good decisions. And that's where we are, Eddie. That's where we are, Eddie. That's how the fan base thinks now. That's how we feel. I said before, the firing of Ruben Amorim did more damage to INEOS than it did to actually Ruben Amorim. A lot of people who don't like Ruben Amorim, I don't dislike him anymore. I never thought he was that good, and I still don't think he was that good. But what the firing does to my opinion of INEOS is a lot more. It's a lot more damaging. So big up Eddie. They could go on to make better decisions, but from what I've seen, it looks like we are finished under INEOS. We're going to talk about INEOS and what they do or what they've done with Nice. I think that's going to interest all of you guys once we get onto that topic. Big up Shivam in the chat as well. I know Shivam, you're not happy. Don't worry, Shivam. I already know you're not happy, bro. All right, guys. A little bit more on Carrick before we move on. Carrick has apparently impressed Wilcox and Barada and INEOS. Whatever that means to you. Some of you guys don't care if they impress Wilcox because Amrim impressed them. So many people impressed them, and look where we are. So impressing INEOS, I don't know what that means to you, if that's important. But apparently, he has impressed. Just in, and this is Chris Wheeler, once again a reputable journalist. As well as impressing Barada and Wilcox, Carrick is said to have support from within the dressing room from the players who worked with him when he was part of the coaching staff under Jose Mourinho and Solskjaer before taking caretaker charge of games against Villarreal, Chelsea and Arsenal in 2021 to 2022. We forget actually he took charge of about 3 games as mentioned already. So he's already taken charge. We've seen Solskjaer before. We've seen what he can do. I feel like this is INEOS making a manipulative decision. I think going back to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would have made a lot of people get angrier. How can you go back to a manager who we all agreed failed? I don't think going back to Ole would have been good for them. I feel like the most sensible decision, the decision that's going to get them the least amount of heat. And this is what this is about. This is largely, let's be clear, guys. This is largely about getting INEOS out of your arrows. You guys, the chat, are looking at INEOS with insidious eyes. You're side-eyeing them. You're like, who are these guys? They don't like that. They don't want that. So this is supposed to reverse that. This is supposed to reverse that. All right? We can all admit that. It goes on to say an announcement could be made on Monday, although sources believe the process might take longer. I'm saying by Wednesday we should know who it is, but all signs, all roads, guys, are leading to Michael Carrick. Alfred said Bonnie Blue could impress them too. True. My right toe could impress them too. Or my left toe. All right. So this, guys, this is apparently people are saying this is why Carrick, one of the reasons why Carrick has been chosen over Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because we've been told that both of them were in the running. Both of them have been interviewed, thoroughly vetted, all these things. We already know about Ole because he was here for 2 years. And Ben Jacobs, who speaks on the United Stand often, I don't need to do any promotion for that channel, biggest channel in the world. But Michael Carrick's stance is that regardless of what happens, he's not going to be Manchester United's long-term manager. So Michael Carrick, apparently, according to Ben Jacobs, has accepted that he could go on the best run of his life. He could win the Premier League title, but that is neither here or there. He's not going to be appointed the permanent manager, or at least he shouldn't expect to be appointed the permanent manager regardless of how he does. He goes on to say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer intended to try to qualify for Champions League football, then hopefully land the job with a big bonus on top. So this is I guess narrative put out there by Ben Jacobs, and it sounds as if what Ben Jacobs is trying to say, guys, is that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's intention was too high, because it goes on to say, after that sentence, it goes on to say Carrick is more realistic and knows it's a short-term gig and he isn't going to stay on even if he did well. So maybe, once again, I'm posing this to the chat, my very intelligent chat, maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer saying to INEOS, listen to me, if I qualify for the Champions League, yeah, i.e. do better than you expect, yeah, do better than Ruben Amorim, then I deserve the permanent job and you give me the permanent job with some money. Michael Carrick is coming out saying, listen, I'm lucky to be here. I'm not going to demand all of this shit from you. I just want to be a Man United manager. This is what I can do. When you tell me to fuck off, I'm going to fuck off. And I'm not going to demand nothing. So I guess one person is more easily controlled. It's going to be cheaper. You're going to promise him less of a hassle than the other person. And we're starting to understand what they need. They need someone to toe the line, right? They need someone to toe the line. But then the question I have for people or anybody who gets frustrated with anybody who toes the line, the simple question I have for you guys is, do you have to toe the company line with the company you work for? And if the answer is yes, then you surely must understand why a manager needs to toe the company line and can't come out like the Portuguese do, like Jose does, like Amrim wanted to do. Can't come out and just say what he wants and when he wants. As much as we would like to know all the juicy things behind the scenes, as much as fans we would like to know that stuff, it is not reasonable for me or you to come on camera and talk about our CEO without the risk of getting fired. And I think that we can understand that at a human level. Sometimes we can take our fan hat, we think like fans. And if we just think like fans all the time, we will have loads of blind spots because we will have our agendas. Sometimes think like humans and think about things from a neutral, not from a bias, not from a fan standpoint or from a neutral standpoint, and we will understand things better. So big up everybody. That's what I think about Carrick. That's what I think INEOS are doing. But do you blame them? INEOS's job is to calm the fan base down, to make everything good, everything nice and rosy. So at the same time, while it's annoying and frustrating, you don't blame them for trying to hire somebody that they believe can calm you guys the fuck down. I don't blame them for that. That seems like a logical thing for them to do. So big up the chat. Big up the chisel for Rizzle. The article spin says Eddie, I noticed the Athletic is MU mouthpiece. Eddie, that is correct. I agree with you. The Athletic is Laurie. Is the Athletic Laurie Whitwell? Yeah, that is usually a Manchester United mouthpiece. I think we, as a fan base, as a channel, we can start talking, guys, about what channels, what articles are clearly PR propaganda from the club. I kind of get the picture of who's talking from the club, who's been given talking points. I kind of have the feeling just by reading the article, I can tell whether it's coming from the club, whether it's spin, or whether it's somebody trying to be a bit more impartial. Big up Alfred. What is realistic? 8th. Then we purposely end up finishing 8th. Does Xavi interest you? Alfred, if I'm being honest, he does. He does. My concern though with hiring foreign managers though, Alfred, is do they understand? Yeah, because everybody says the same thing when they join this league. Everybody who comes over this league is always like, wow, I never knew it was so quick. The league is so quick. It's so powerful. You got to be so strong. Xavi is going to come and try to play saucy, possession-based, tiki-taka football. And I don't know if we have the players for that, which means we're going to have to go and buy the players for Xavi to play his brand of saucy football. And I don't even know if the Premier League, the actual league, appreciates that kind of football. I don't know if that kind of football, if we can implement that kind of football without having players like Man City do. To play that kind of football, you need like proper your check. You need ballers everywhere to play the Xavi football. And that's going to take time for us to buy those sort of players. We are a physical sort of Liverpool-ish sort of heavy metal back to front team who's very, very physical. We're not a saucy tiki-taka, keep possession type of football team. And to turn us into that will take another 3 years, and that is my issue. And that's the issue with hiring managers like Amram who play a certain way, then hiring managers like Ten Hag who play a certain way. It's just starting back at zero, starting back at ground zero all the time can be frustrating as fuck, guys. So I like Xavi. I like the idea of Xavi. I don't know if the practicality of Xavi is great. Does that answer your question? Sorry for the long-windedness, whatever, man. Sorry for being long-winded. Oh wow. Wow. All right. Listen, that happened today at what time? The last few hours. Shame. Xavi Alonso has left Real Madrid by mutual agreement. Wow, Xavi Alonso will always have the affection and admiration of all Madrid fans because he is a Real Madrid legend and has always represented the values of our club. Real Madrid will always be his home. Whoa. Xavi plays back five, guys. Xavi plays a back five. Also, we have to understand that any manager that comes into this team, and this is why I said to you guys, yeah, when we adopted this stupid 3-4-2-1 system and we sold all our wingers and we kept 100 million number 10s, when Carrick or Solskjaer, any manager, because don't forget 99.9% of all managers play with a front three, except our kinky little quirky manager, right? And we've hired for this guy. So when a new manager comes in and wants to play wingers, all they have is Cunha and Mason Mount on the left. There's no wingers. There's no wingers because we've taken all the wingers out of our squad. This is the danger of recruiting for one single man and one single man's vision. It's the danger, guys. It's the danger. We played 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1 the other day. And we played Mount, Bruno, and Cunha in the front three positions. We played Mount on the right and Cunha on the left, and neither one of those players are wingers. We don't have any wingers in the squad anymore because we culled our squad for Ruben Amorim, only to fire him 12 months later, or not even fire him 12 months later, to ring up Semenyo and say, hello Semenyo, guess what? We're going to play you left wing because we're not going to play Amorim's system anymore. Come on and play the left of our, front three. That's what we said to Semenyo. So it all falls back on INEOS. It all falls back on INEOS. Also, about the Xavi thing, because this is just random, guys. It literally just came to my attention. That's why I'm talking about it. Xavi actually left. So just to be clear, Xavi didn't get fired. He said, okay, cool, I will walk away. And they decided to part ways, mutual agreement. So very, very interesting. Big up the chat. The news is that Tottenham Hotspurs have already opened talks with Xavi Alonso. So Thomas Frank, and I like Thomas Frank at Brentford. I thought Thomas Frank was a good coach, but Thomas Frank's time at Tottenham could be coming to an end very soon if Tottenham can sort out Xabi Alonso. Who knows, guys? Who knows? But let's get back on topic, guys. Big up the chat. Quickly, guys, Jamie Jackson. I know a lot of you guys want to talk about signings, want to talk about transfers, and I haven't really spoken about transfers, mostly because I don't necessarily believe that we're going to make any signings. And when United came out last week and essentially said that we're not expecting to make any signings in January, I thought, yeah, I thought as much. I thought, yeah, the 200+ million that we spent in the summer, we overspent. We didn't have that money. We put a lot of it's a lot of down payments. We're paying for Mbumo and Cunha over like 4 or 5 years. So we're not, that money didn't come out all that money didn't come out straight away. So we don't have, I want to be clear, guys. I do not think we have as much money as some of you guys think we do, especially as I've mentioned before, not qualifying for certain competitions, not getting competition money, the 100 million Champions League money, not being in certain competitions, not going far in Carling Cup, not going far in FA Cup, not going far in European competitions means less gate receipts. Of course, we are in debt as well. All of these things. So I just don't think we have as much money, guys, as a lot of fans think we do. A lot of fans just say, just buy players. And I'm always like, How? But just in Jamie Jackson, let's talk about it, guys. Manchester United expect to confirm Michael Carrick as the interim manager on Tuesday, with finances to be at the 44-year-old's disposal to strengthen the squad should a target for the long term become available. I think that's the key. A lot of us want these short-term positions, these short-term stopgaps in the midfield. I don't know, because this article goes on to talk about Neves, guys, and let me know what you guys think about Neves. Would you take Connie Gallagher? Would you guys take Neves? And if we're talking about long term, is Neves long term? Is he a long term signing? Is he a long term signing you see INEOS making, considering they sign like Lemons, they sign Sesko, they're signing for the future. They're signing this Ecuadorian kid who's 17 years old. That's what they seem to be doing. So I don't know. Is Neves better than what we currently have? Yeah, I think he's better than a lot of our midfielders. Would you go for him though, guys? Would you go for him? The article continues and says, with midfield one of the positions United want to strengthen, Neves is a target. He would cost about 20 million, which is not bad. And should his acquisition become viable, there are funds available for his purchase or for any other player on the club's transfer wish list, which is quite an interesting thing for Jamie Jackson to tweet, because in one hand, United went in for Semenyo, apparently, and they really wanted to get him, and they really wanted to get him in January. I don't believe that. I believe what the club wanted to do was tap him up for the summer. That's what I honestly believe. I don't believe they wanted any money changing hands in January. I think they wanted to sell him the project like Beleba, sell it to him, convince him to come, and then knock on the door in the summer. That's what I believe they wanted to do. I might be wrong, but Man City said to him, listen, we're a much better club, much better run, much better place. You're going to start games. You're going to win trophies. You don't have to wait until the summer. Come now. Bournemouth want to sell you now. Come now. That's what I believe. And you guys might disagree. I might be wrong. It's only a belief. So how do we go from that position to then saying we're not going to make any January signings? Amram came out in a press conference and basically alluded to the fact that he was not going to get any signings in January. He kind of alluded to that, right? While at the same time, we're now being told that there's going to be money available for Carrick to spend on signings in January. Do you understand how we as fans get taken for dickheads? We constantly get contradicting messages from the club. We got money for January. We're not going to make any signings because we don't need signings. Then we are going to make signings. Then we did go in for the Semenyo, but we're not going to make any signings because what? So once again, we have to look at INEOS. And the reason, listen, one of the reasons why we got to look at INEOS, guys, is because INEOS only own 27% of the company. So it's still the Glazers, but INEOS have come in and they said, we're going to take responsibility. They said, we're going to look after the football thing. We're going to look after the football inside. So they came in and they said to us, we're responsible for shit. Everything's going to fall on our backs. That's what INEOS said. And now that things are not working, things are turning sour, they're now going, whoa. It's all Amram. It's all the manager. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Let's move on. Big up Shivam in the chat. Well, the chat's popping off. Sorry. Wiz, a stat for community. We have spent over 1.4 billion in players signings and 100 million on hiring, sacking of managers since 2014. Haven't even considered wages for players or managers yet. That, Shivam, is crazy. That is crazy. But Shivam, I'm going to say one thing to you. Chelsea spent 1 billion on players in just 12 months. Do you remember just 2 years ago, a 12-month period where Claire Lake or whatever came in, they spent 100 million on Caicedo, spent 115 on Caicedo, 100 on Enzo. That's already 200 million. They spent about 80 million on the blonde winger. What's his name? That we don't see anymore. That blonde guy. 70 million on Jackson. That's almost 350 million. Like, for a whole 12 months period, Chelsea spent £1 billion. As shocking as what I read out, and as shocking as Shivam has said, the stats that Shivam has said, Man United should be able, if we weren't in debt, guys, right, of 700 million to £1 billion, something along them lines, we were in serious debt, right, and we take out loans and all these things as well on top of the debt we have. If we weren't in debt, yeah, and we were self-reliant, self-sustaining club, we would be able to spend about £1 billion. Like, we will be able to spend crazy money. And if we were in the Champions League, we'll be spending, or be able to be spending, 400 million net, maybe every year. You know? But that is insane. 1.4 billion pounds on players. I've always said that this is why we have to be nuanced, guys. As much as the owners have a lot to answer for, they are responsible for most of what you see, because the buck always stops at the top. The owners will always say, listen and listen carefully. You have been given money. I did not force you to spend £100 million on Anthony. I did not force you to spend £85 million on Maguire. I didn't force you to spend 70 million on Bruno. I didn't force you to spend 60 million on Mason Mount, who's played about 10 games in 3 years. I did not force you to spend £65 million on Ugarte. We have spent money, but often we have not spent money wisely. Different chopping and changing manager hasn't helped. One manager wants a DM who runs around and tackles, while one manager wants a DM who sits back, a bit more like Carrick. There's different types of DMs. There's a Kante sort of DM, or there's a Pirlo called Carrick sort of DM. Every manager plays differently, and they want different types of players. We will always be left with multiple managers, players within one team. Some of the team is built for counter-attack. These players like possession football. These players like a bit of both. And we're going to be left with all different managers, players with all different systems. And we're all going to bunch them together and give all of these players to another manager who plays a totally different way. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. And then that's it. Anyway, guys, big up Sausage, man. Like Sausage Express. Shivam, about players coming. This is why I gave INEOS credit last summer, because after finishing 15th, yeah, I did not expect that the two of the best players in terms of output in the Premier League, Mbeumo and Cunha, would even want to touch this football club after seeing us finish 15th. So the fact that we still managed to sign those players, even after the worst season ever, who knows? I think there's always going to be some players who think that they're the ones that are going to get Man United back. There's always going to be some players who grew up watching Man United who still are in love with what Man United were, not what Man United are. But I don't know, those players are probably going to be fewer now. The older I get, the further away from Fergie era that we get, the less I reckon young people are going to want to support United. Therefore, the less players I think would want to come here just because of our history. Our history will always put us in good light, but as we all know, there's only so much of history that youngsters care about until they don't care about it anymore. Until it's all about Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. So we just need to be careful. That's why we need to brainwash these kids. If you have a son who is 7 years old and he says, "Daddy, I don't like Manchester United," you have to force him. You have to force that motherfucker to support United, because we don't want to lose the future fans who won't support United and be like, "Daddy, I ain't supporting this shit. Your team is crap." So it is what it is. It is what it is. Anyway, I don't know what you guys are going to think about this. As you guys can see on the screen, you probably have read it already. Michael Carrick, according to Benjamin Jacobs, is hoping to bring Jonathan Woodgate in as part of his coaching staff. Woodgate worked alongside Carrick at Middlesbrough. Carrick's appointment is expected to be confirmed in the next 24 hours. Darren Fletcher and Johnny Evans could also form part of his backroom team. Please, guys, this is the issue. These guys talk about best in class. We're going to get the best in class, the best person for the job, the best in class. That's all we keep hearing from these motherfuckers. While at the same time saying, by the way, bring in Woodgate, Darren Fletcher, and Johnny Evans. Bring in your friends. Bring in the same thing that we did the same thing we did under Ollie when we brought in Carrick and whatnot, and Fletcher and all these things. Just bring in your mates to help you run the gaff. Bring in Johnny Evans, because Johnny Evans is a legend of the club, and Darren Fletcher. He can stay here and work all alongside or underneath Carrick with Jonathan Woodgate. Man, how uninspiring is it to read that, guys? This is why I get you guys are pissed the hell off. That does not inspire me, and I'm pretty sure it does not inspire you. And to be honest, some of my regulars haven't even logged in today because they are so angry at the situation right now. And I get it. I feel it. I get it. But we're going to try to be sensible, and we're going to try to still be a bit logical and pragmatic if we can, even though our emotions are high. But this, guys, I don't know about this. I guess having Woodgate, Jonathan Woodgate, who is a defender, who's a decent defender, having him there might help us defend better. Amram's coaching staff were a bunch of kids. They're all like 34, 35, recently graduated with this and with that. Some of them are 27, 28, only 3 or 4 years of experience coaching. So Amram's coaching staff are quite young and inexperienced. But I don't know, guys. I just don't know. Shivam says Woodgate, Southgate. Somebody show me the gate to glory. Shivam says the best signing over the last 10 years was Heaven for 1 million, Maz and Delit combo. Yeah, in terms of value for money, the Heaven signing, nice. The Mazraoui signing, was it like 12 million? Beautiful, beautiful. I agree with that, Shivam. My final 2 cents is that we should leave our past aside. We will never be old Manchester United, and there will never be Sir Alex Ferguson or another Sir Alex Ferguson. Start with a clean slate. Yeah, Shivam, today, I'm not really disagreeing with you today. I'm not disagreeing with you today at all, my bro. I feel like, and I've said it, referring back to the olden times and making that comparison constantly, I don't think is helpful for the future. Football has changed. Football has moved on in so many ways. So keep comparing to what happened before. I'm not sure that contextualizing it that way is helpful. That's all I'm going to say. What's Sausage saying? Big up Sausage in the chat. Carrick, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Rude, ETH Amrim are all hirings that have me thinking nobody good applied for the United job. Seriously, I think about it. We are a gaffer graveyard. Sausage, that's a very interesting point that I haven't really put a lot of thought into. So I can't really comment on it too tough. But I will say this, Sausage. When's the last time we had a world-class manager at this club? I feel like the only world-class manager, top-tier manager we've had since Fergie was Van Gaal. And he was probably not at his peak. And Jose Mourinho. And he was also not at his peak. All the Klopps and the Pep Guardiolas and the Enriques and all the Zidanes, all the world-class top quality managers, none of them have been at this club over the last 10 years. And the question I have for the chat, and the Sausage is essentially asking this in the chat, why do you think that's the case, guys? The Ancelottis of this world, the Contes, these managers who've won stuff, why haven't any of them come here? Might be a conversation for another time, guys, but it could be a good conversation for the chat. Who knows? Anyway, let's move on. Let's finish off the show, people. This is what I thought you guys would be very interested in. Let's understand, because at the same time, we have an objective assessment, an objective reality that INEOS are not doing great at Manchester United right now. But we also have relativity. We can also see what they've done. I've always said this. We don't need to have faith in things if we have evidence. Yeah? I had evidence that Amrin wasn't that great. I don't need to have faith. We actually have evidence, yeah, of what INEOS do and how INEOS run their sporting franchise, specifically football, and the evidence is Nice. Nice are there. So, Solange, Claude, president of the Nice Supporters Club, have come out, and I feel like it's important for this chat because we're going to be a fan base, a Man United fan base that knows a lot of shit because of the way that we like to talk about stuff. Here we go. Sir Jim Radcliffe may be an expert in the chemicals industry, but he has shown he knows nothing about football. He is an incompetent. I can understand how all those Manchester United fans must be feeling. What he's doing to their club, he has already done to us. There was plenty of optimism when Radcliffe, brother Bob was first appointed to run us. Full stop. This guy, let's just think out loud for a second. This guy talks about the best in class, while at the same time, when he bought Nice, he disappointed his brother to run Nice. These billionaires, yeah, when I keep telling people, yeah, billionaires aren't that smart, they're not intelligent, they're not necessarily, I mean, there's Musk and some of these guys are smart, but they're not necessarily smarter than us. And I'm not saying he is not self-made and he didn't work for his money, but the majority of billionaires are just human beings who were born rich. Born rich. Put their money in certain places and their money grew. And that was it. automatically respect any rich person. I don't automatically believe because you are a billionaire, you're smarter than I am. But I think inherently we always look at people who have loads of money than us and feel like they've made smart decisions, they're intelligent, they're this and that. No. Sometimes they're just lucky. A lot of times, guys, these motherfuckers are just lucky. Fortunate. Anyway, he goes on to say, Solange Claude, he did not last too long, talking about his brother, nor did Dave Brailsford. Remember Dave Brailsford, guys? The cycling man out of his depth in football. Dave Brailsford is the cycling guy. That sums up the whole approach. Now people from the past have been put in charge. So just like us here at Man United, he has put people in the past legends and all these things. He's done that with Nice. This is a playbook. Keep the people on side, put someone at the head who they like. They'll be happy. They'll turn their eyes away from me, leave me alone. Boom, bam. That's what the rich do all the time. In politics, that's what they do. The rich will say, look over there at that black man. Look over there at that immigrant. That immigrant over there. He's going to take all your shit. While at the same time, they've got all the billions. They've got all the billions there. Look at that person over there taking your... It's same boring tactics that all rich people use to control poor people. Using our emotions. The same thing he did to win the club. How did he win the club? He told Man United fans about how I'm English. He used xenophobia. He said, I'm English. I'm here for the Man United fans. British and this and British that. And of course, he was running opposite someone from, I think, Qatar. And all the Man United fans just said, cool, we're going to go. We like Jim. And I said to myself, hold on a second. This man from Qatar wants to buy out the whole club, clear the fucking debt. So we have no debt, build a whole new stadium, do all of these things. While one man wants to be in bed with the Glazers. Oh, I only want to buy a portion of the club so I can team up with the Glazers and run the club with the Glazers. We sided with that guy. Why? Because he said something British, something Man United fans. For me, the manipulation of all of us frustrates me because I hate knowing that my decision to do anything has been influenced by someone else, and it's not really my choice at all. I can't stand stuff like that, guys. If I'm going to sidetrack for a second. So just to finish with this whole segment, guys, I know I've waffled a little bit. But at the moment, he is hiring old people, old legends, whatever it is. People from the past are now taking care of Nice. He's doing the same thing here at Manchester United. Or a little bit. It's a little bit like what's happening here. And I feel like we just need to see the pattern, understand the pattern, understand how these people's brains work, and just be prepared. Be prepared. These guys will say whatever they need to say. Big up the chat. We'll move on. We'll move on to Will Cox's vision, guys. If you guys are not... Let me see what Sausage Shivam saying. Sausage said, we are hiring B stock. the B level managers, bro. No A level managers want to come here. Jose Mourinho should have come in after Sir Alex retired, says Shivam. We got all the timings wrong. Maybe our trajectory would have been different. Once again, Shivam, I like that point. I like that thought. Maybe we should have gone bang with Jose straight after Sir Alex, rather than 6 years after Alex when he was slightly on his decline. That's an interesting take. One look at who owns this club and the potential top tier managers don't bother submitting a CV, says Sausage Express. Osman, big up Oz in the chat. Loads of top managers are accustomed to working with a director of football and power sharing equals transfers, etc. The fact that Wilcox and Barada can't land one of them reflects on them. The managers don't want to report to them. Osman is. I've always said that, guys. The way that we have structured the way that we're now structured is now very common. And you fans, us fans, all of us together have been screaming for the last 10 years, where's our technical director? Where's our director of football? Where's our structure? We now have the structure that all other teams have. So all top managers in this league, don't forget Pep Guardiola is a head coach now. He is. So a lot of top managers work within that structure. If we can't get a top manager in, that doesn't look good. That doesn't look good on INEOS. It doesn't look good on Wilcox or Barada. What are they promising? What are they telling these managers? What's the framework they have to work within? What's the limits of their power? All of these things. These are just questions that popped into my head. Sausage says, you are correct. We are using old parts of a Windows 95 machine to try and patch an AI machine. I like that analogy, bro. It's good, Sausage. Yo, big up Oz, big up Sausage. Yeah, man. This guy is now taking a lot of flack, Jason Wilcox. And while I understand why people are giving him flack, and some of the things I've heard, apparently he's going around saying that he's the manager behind the scenes. He's telling people that he is the manager behind the scenes. And while that is not technically incorrect, because Amram is a head coach, and he as technical director has some managerial responsibilities. So you could call him the manager behind the scenes because he does have some of those roles. But I think overall, Jason Wilcox has done good things. I feel like his signings have been decent. To get some of the signings he's landed, like Dorgu, I know some of you guys are not fans of Dorgu, but I think £25 million for Dorgu in about a year or two might end up being a steal. Who knows? He might be worth 40 million, maybe. Benjamin Sesko, Cunha, and Bimo, these are all good players. So, yes. And he didn't actually want Amram in the first place. So he was never a fan of Amram. So I feel like Wilcox, and I've spoken positively about him before. I did say Wilcox and Vivell are who I like in the INEOS camp. However, I also understand over the past week or so that people are now turning to Wilcox, asking him questions. Wilcox out was trending online as well. So I appreciate that it's not been the best time for him. I feel like people are now, because of Amram's firing, and people who supported Amram have turned their eyes onto Wilcox, and they're now blaming Wilcox for the Amram firing, which, I mean, that's his job. He could have been the one to fire Amram. He could have been. So I get it. It's nuanced. It's hard. It's difficult to have like one opinion of Wilcox. Just one opinion, like he's the best ever, or he's the worst ever. The point I'm trying to make is it's complicated. Wilcox has done some good shit, and he's done some stupid shit, is essentially what I'm trying to say. And Andy Mitten essentially is talking about Wilcox. He wants to push Wilcox more positively, because over the last 4 days, Wilcox has been dragged through social media a lot. So this is just to remind people what he's doing. So news, Jason Wilcox has a very clear idea on where Man United should be. Wilcox wants to steer United towards younger signings such as Lemens, Dorgu and Sesko. This is because he believes these profiles will be considered top players within 2 to 3 years. And that's cool. My response to that, and let me know, guys, what you think of this. What you think of this PR piece, which is essentially what it is. Give him some positivity out there in the atmosphere. But when I look at this, I'm like, young players are not a profile. You can sign players, yeah, in a Patrick Dorgu's profile, in Benjamin Sesko's profile, and in Lemens's profile, who are all more experienced and older than them, but it's still within the same profile. So the age of a player isn't the profile of a player. It's just age. That's it. And then another question I have with this is, you want to win the league in 2 to 3 years' time, while at the same time you're flooding the team with 20-year-olds. And I'm not going to be Alan Hansen and say we can't win anything with youngsters, because that's silly. But it's not easy. It's not easy. The class of 92, and we always go back to class of 92, they had the Roy Keanes, Paul Inces, Hughes. They had big game players, yeah, already in the team to help them transition. So I don't even know if this spin from Andy Mitten even makes too much sense, if it does much for Wilcox at all. But let me know. Let me know, guys, what you're thinking about Wilcox. Like I said, I actually like Wilcox. Wilcox has done some good things. Like I said, Phil Foden, Cole Palmer, some of the Man City youngsters can thank Wilcox for his role in discovering them and nurturing them also. So big up the chat. Big up the chat. And last but not least, guys, before we go, I know this has been very... Listen, we're about to hire a new semi-permanent interim that will be here until at least May, June. So it's been a very, very serious stream, guys. And we have a match on Saturday. So whoever we choose as the next manager will be managing the next game. Pressure is on. Pressure is on. INEOS are going to be feeling evil. If we don't win a few of the next games that we have to play, INEOS are going to feel even more heat. The kitchen is going to be hot. Yeah. Epically hot. Anyway, just to finish, guys, at the end of the season, Man United will be reviewing their whole structure, not just the manager. They'll look at the entire sporting model, how efficient they are, whether each position is working to their potential. I think this is news, and only news because of the heat that they're currently getting from the fan base, guys. You, the fans, have been putting them under so much pressure over the last week that they have no choice but to come out and talk about how they will review themselves. They're going to review themselves. How did you do today, bro? I did good. How did you do today? I did good. Cool. Review done. Review done. They're going to review themselves. I think every company in the world does this review. Every company does an annual review of itself. See what efficiencies could be gained, what positions could be changed, how they can improve here or there. That's just normal shit, guys. So them releasing something like this, which is just normal shit that all companies do, and trying to make it out like it's something new and they're doing it because of what you guys have said and they're going to review everything. Spin. Once again, spin. Spin. Like Kylie Minogue. Spin. So big up, guys. Sausage said, how many points are we picking up before January? I think we've got, how many games do we have in January, Sausage? I think we've got 2 games before the end of January, maybe 3. Guys, the beauty of this situation, yeah, once again, the beauty of this situation is that for the first time since I've had this channel, the whole community is going to go through the whole process of a new manager. Most of you guys who are on this channel have been members of this channel, subscribed to this channel over the last, let's say, 5 months. So we actually haven't gone through this process of hiring and firing a manager together as a community. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be so interesting what the next few days, the next few weeks look like. How much more spin comes out of Old Trafford. How much more INEOS will protect themselves. What they will do to protect themselves from the fans. Who we might sign in January, if anything. What's going to happen in the summer if we do not make Champions League or European football? How much less money will we have to spend in the summer? There's so many unknowns. So many unknowns, guys. It's crazy. So big up the chat. We have 2 fixtures left in January. Man City on Saturday, should I say, and Arsenal the following Sunday, guys. So based on the fact that we have 2 fixtures left in January, I would suspect that we will get 0 points from the rest of the games in January. 0. But hey, let's try to be positive. Let's try to be positive, guys. Let's try. So big up the chat. Head up. Onwards and upwards. The club ain't going nowhere. INEOS aren't going nowhere, and Glazers aren't going nowhere. End of story. This is where we are. So big up the chat. We'll go again. Hopefully on Wednesday, we should have our usual Wednesday show, but stay tuned. I might have to rearrange that show, but stay tuned. Turn on your notifications, guys, as usual. Big up the chat. The chat has been very, very good. I'm loving the chat. A lot of insightfulness, a lot of thoughts, a lot of opinions that I'm now absorbing myself. Like I keep saying, the chat is good, yeah, because a lot of times you guys say so much insightful things in the chat that I'm like, I never even thought about that. And you often change my opinion on a lot of things, guys. So big up yourselves. Big up the chat, everybody. Sausage, Turkish, of course, Oz, Federal Rico, Eddie. Smash a like, share the video, guys. Let's see if we can continue growing this community. Get us to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It doesn't look like we're going to do it, but never say never, guys. So we're going to keep pushing, keep doing what we're doing. And as usual, guys, I will see you next time.